What's up, my loves and fellow creatives? Do me a favor and let me know if you can hear me in the chat. I know we're all anxious for this content. I'm super excited as well. We're going to do a part 2 of the 160 for those who were enrolled yesterday. And I promised y'all I would come back and show you how to do the part 2. Part 2 is where we're going to take the template and we're going to pull it into the cut and sew version. Now the cut and sew version is a miniature version. It's a sample to give you a little bit of a taste of what the cut and sew availability will be for these type of templates in the future. And any Innate Lab design that you have or Innate Academy design that you have that is the all over, and even if you have the 13x19s, there's ways to convert those as well. You can easily pull those into the automated template, but Coach Q, who is over the Sew Pro Academy, so the Sew Pro Academy is its own universe. Okay, so the Innate Academy is teaching you the Photoshop side of things. The Sew Pro Academy is teaching you the sewing side of things, and we have Coach Q in the comments with us too. So Coach Q, if I say anything that I need a little assistance or help with, she's definitely going to be able to help you all in the comments as well. Now, what we're going to do tonight is basically just run through what it looks like to either purchase the blank templates, or we also have what we call the automated print, cut, and sew. Okay, so normally when you receive a pattern, and I'm going to show you basically, this is a pattern. And I'm going to just take all of this stuff off of here, right? That's typically what a pattern would look like, right? Currently, to my knowledge, there are not any patterns that are available in Photoshop. So there are going to be levels to this thing, you know. The first level is if you just, like, you are a professional, you basically just need something that's already in Photoshop so you could do your own drag and drop and clip your images in. I'm going to show you that process, and then I will also show you the process where we have this automated kind of deal going on, where basically as long as you have your images, you're going to basically replace images. And for those who are beginners in design, and or you know, maybe you're still learning design and you're also beginners in cut and sew, that is a perfect merge. I think it's even helpful for those who are professional in cut and sew because it automates something that you probably hate doing. Okay, so because it's a process, I want to show you basically the time savings between doing it one way versus another way. Then that way you can tell whether you want to do the blank version or you want to go with the automated version. Now, in addition to that, there will be a video class. So for some of the professionals out there, you don't need a video whatsoever to tell you how to sew, but some of you have very little experience or maybe even no experience with sewing. So the Sew Pro Academy is pulling together these classes that are video led that allow you to see the entire process from the very start to finish of one of these products for each and every template. So if it's a crew neck sweatshirt, if it's a pillow, or whatever the case is, it's going to be a class that goes along with the template. Okay, so those are 3 different things, and I just want to show you a little bit, you know, what it means to have access to each of those things. Y'all give me just a moment. I'm going to close this door so I don't have kiddos in the background. Alrighty, I'm back. Okay, so this is what we would call the blank. So this is the blank Sew Pro Academy version. This is a sample, little mini sample, just so that you get an idea. This is not to scale. This might, if we print this out, this might actually fit a doll. And also, what this would be is, I'm going to go ahead and delete all of this as well. That is precisely what you'll receive. Okay, so we've done a lot of work to automate the process. We've done a lot of work just to convert these over to Photoshop from Illustrator. Some of you may have seen patterns in PDF and that sort of thing. So that's the idea of being able to customize this experience so that you can do everything you need to do in Photoshop. All right, awesome, awesome. So let's go ahead and start off. So this is the blank version. I'm going to show you what you would do. First, I'm gonna go ahead and show you what we did yesterday, because I think that'll show you where we left off. Okay, because you know, cut and sew is its own process, and it does have some intricacies. So if this is what we started with yesterday, I'm gonna go ahead and do a switch up just so that you see that process. All right, and actually I'm going to take this one and switch it back to the Jordan one so that you just see the full process. All right, first thing we did in class, we changed out the logo there, and I'm going to just make sure I have things saved before I get started. So change out the logo real quick. Like I said, this should be a 5-minute template, right? So I should be able to do this in 5 minutes. Let's see. Let's double click on the logo. That's a smart object. I'm going to replace it. It's taking just a moment because I'm live, so all of my images are online. There we go. So this is my logo. Boom, we're dragging the bool. Then we're going to resize it. So for those who took the class last night, this should just be a recap. This is nothing new. This is just a recap. The bull looks pretty cool with the crown too, huh? And then what we had to do was delete the layer beneath it. Boom, that's gone. When we close this out, we're going to say yes to save those changes. And automatically our logo has updated. Then we're going to change out the photo. So the photo's here. We'll double click on the photo. Same thing here. Let me grab my photo. Drag and drop. There we go. I'm going to hit interlock in my transformation, delete the layer underneath it, and say yes to update. Boom. So that's kind of my layout. I can, of course, move my photo. What I want to do is make sure I'm staying within this kind of 11 by 17, 13 by 19 orientation, because this is essentially going to be what we call the foreground. And if I had something else, I might even stack that over here. Next thing we want to do is change out the number. So I'm going to double click on this 30. Change the number to 23. Now I have to lock in that transformation. Close out this tab, hit yes to save it. And now I have the 23 there. And let's change out the word dirty and let's put the word bulls instead. So I'm going to double click on the text here. Remember, I told y'all can do this in 5 minutes. I know we took our time with it last night, but really once you learn the process, our goal at both the Innate Academy and the SoPro Academy is to give you resources where you don't have to think so much. You can work smart. Hence, these smart colors and the automation. All right, so something looks a little bit off, and I think it's the colors, right? The last thing we have to change are the colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a custom color palette from the images that I see here. And honestly, I would even change, like this red is different from that red. So if I were really making this correct, I would modify those colors. But that's not what we're doing today. We're going to go ahead and create a custom color palette. So first I'm going to grab the eyedropper tool, also called the color picker. And I'm going to pick this red right here. And if I hold it down and I move it around, I'll say, okay, that's a little orangey color there. That's going to be my fire engine red there. And I even have a red in this image that is a little bit more of a pink red. You see that difference? So here I can choose what color I want. I'll choose the red from the bowl. All right, so now that I have it picked here, we can see it down in the corner of the left-hand panel. That's my foreground color. And I'm just gonna go ahead and save it. So I'm gonna hit add to swatches. Now I'm gonna take off this option to add to my current library because that does take up more energy and resources from your computer and your internet, because usually your library is connected to the cloud. So let's just put the one here as the name of that color. I'll say okay. Then I'm going to pick the second color. So let's say the second color, I'm going to leave the black and white here because I like my neutrals. But the second color might be, let's say they have some cool gray in the shoes or something. If you know the number for cool gray, let's do a little research right now. You know, I like to show y'all a little something extra every time. So yes, I should have been able to change this out in 5 minutes, but your girl had to show you something. So let's look up cool gray hex. I just typed in, literally Googled the words cool gray hex. What I'm looking for is a hex code. This may not be true to what it is, but at least it gives you something to go by. And also, if you put in the word Jordan, because cool gray, there can be several different cool grays. Let's see. Somebody says, this is 2013, and I actually have a whole list of colors that I have personally collected colors from. So I used to go to sneaker conventions, and when I would go, I would bring I have a colorimeter. I would bring my colorimeter and I would bring my Pantone book, and I would collect colors while people were getting custom shirts. So they bring the shoes, I'll match the shoes to the shirt, and I get data. So one of the greatest things ever, one of the most fun times I've ever had is doing the shoe conventions, because sneaker collectors, sneakerheads, hype beasts, you know, and they're not all in the same thing, but they definitely care about color and representation. So let's say that's the color. All right, so, oops, I forgot to save it. I was talking too much. Add the swatches, and I'm going to save that as, I think that's color number 4, so I'm just going to put 4. And I'm going to leave the black and white just because I like where the black and white is. I'm done with that now. And if I come over to my swatches, I can see that's my red and that's my cool gray I just collected. Now I'm going to double click. And if you don't know what to click on, always start with your move tool. Right click on the artboard. I want to change that smart color 1. Lo and behold, it leads me to smart color 1 over here. Let me do that again. Right click on smart color 1. Boom, I'm on smart color 1, double click. And then I don't even have to click on this swatch if I made a swatch over here. So I'm going to change that to red. I'll close out and say yes to save. Let's watch it update. There we go. So now I have red where it was once pink. And I'm going to find the gold here. Let's right click. Okay, that is smart color 4. It finds it for me. Double click on that smart color 4. And I just click on the gray here. I'm going to exit and say yes to save those changes. All right, so now I have black. I have a little bit of white, but it's not really white because it has that grunge color, you know, kind of interfering there. Then I have my red and my gray. So for me, this is ready to go. So in 5 minutes or less, you should be able to edit this template, especially when you're familiar with it and you're not talking through it and making YouTube videos. All right. All right. Let's go ahead and get this ready for export. Now, this part is whether you're doing cut and sew, or you're going to do an all over t-shirt, or you're going to do a jumbo print, or you're going to do a 13x19 print, or you're going to do a DTF print. This process is exactly the same for any of that. Right? What we're going to do is we're going to export certain parts of this file. And I'm going to go ahead and close up my folders because I like them to be closed up unless I need to open them. All right, so let's right click on the art and we're going to quick export as PNG. This should be familiar. This is what we did last night. So this is what you need to have already ready. So this is why only the people who completed class yesterday will be in the class today, because you, excuse me, you have to have already had this part done. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make a folder. and I'm just going to call it 23. So it's very unique to the files that we're putting in there today. So let's double click. This is going to be the art dash all over. Like I said, this you already did in class last night. Then we're going to go ahead and get the foreground for the front. The foreground for the front is right here, literally a folder that says foreground front. We're going to right click, quick export that as a PNG. Go to our 23 folder, and we're going to let this be called foreground front. All right, the next step that we're going to do is go ahead and grab the foreground back. So we'll turn that off. The foreground front, just so we know what we're selecting here. That's the foreground back. And notice how all of these numbers changed automatically. That was on purpose. That was by design. All right, I see we have some sneakerheads in the building. Oh, awesome. Some Jordan 1s came out, red and black. This is right on time then, right? All right, so let's go to the foreground back. Same thing, quick export as PNG. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in my folder. It's gonna be called foreground back. And here, you can choose. And in this case, the reason why I'm not gonna choose to put this photo mark here is because notice that Jordan has on a jersey that spells out something. It spells Bulls and 23. If I were to flip this around, which the pattern does automatically on the automated version, I don't want that watermark there. I would rather place it myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it above, or no, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right click on it and I'm going to export that by itself. Okay, and I'm still going to put in my 23 folder. And see how it's named photo watermark? We're not going to do this in class tonight. This is just telling you that, hey, when you have an image in the background that is going to be flipped and it has words in it, it will look silly because the words will be mirror image. So you have to be aware. You have to be cognizant of that when you're designing. Okay, so my background, I'm going to turn off my watermark when I export my background because we did have a couple of people that had words and that would have been true. So I'm going to right click on the background, quick export as PNG. Go to my 23 here, and I'm going to just export this straight up as background. All right, and then what I told you, you didn't know why you were doing this last night, but if you want to just have the colors of the grunge background, the reason why I told you may need this is because you may want to color your sleeve so that it looks continuous, so that it doesn't look like, or maybe you want to do the cross colors thing where you want the contrast sleeve to be on the different side. I'll show you that as well. But in order to get that, you have to turn off the circle accents. Again, we did that last night. We're going to right click on the background. Before we do this, let's pay attention to what color number this is. Remember, each smart color had a number. This one is 4. So since I have 4 visible, I'm going to name this. When I quick export as PNG, I'm going to put background dash color 4. I'm going to put in my 23 folder. So you see how we're building these assets here? And then I'm going to turn off color 4, and lo and behold, I have color 1 there. Like, this is already like excited me. These colors look good. The images look good. I think this is going to be a cool project to pull together. And let's do, what am I doing? I'm over here talking. Right click on background. We're going to do a quick export as PNG. And we'll go to our folder here. Now this one will be background dash color color 1. Now, I want y'all to notice, this is why I was being very particular about what you name things. I don't want y'all just naming it whatever you want to name it because you think there's a better system to it. Just name it what I told you. Well, you already named these what I told you to name it. The reason why is because when you go to replace these elements, it's going to be like clockwork to you. Not only will you be able to design in 5 minutes, you will be able to change out your cut and sew in 5 minutes as well without having to do too much work. So you just have to follow the process. It's a system, just like the buddy system. When you have a system, it basically runs itself at a certain point in time. It doesn't take any brain power. You can flip things, images, you can flip the theme in little to no time. So this one's color 1. Let's hit save. And then you also, if you want numbers on the sleeves, then you're going to come all the way up to the top here, and you already did this last night. Right click, and we're going to quick export as PNG for the sleeve. And did y'all notice how those numbers change colors too? Everything just worked out. And it's not just a miracle. It's a lot of work that goes into making it that way. But I want y'all to believe in this miracle. I want you not to be intimidated by designing. I want you not to be intimidated by cut and sew, and really get to where you're making yourself stand out in this very competitive market. So again, we're going to right click on this layer here, and don't open this up. Don't play with this. Leave it alone. I'm telling y'all to leave it alone, because if you shift anything in here, you're potentially making it harder to match up later. So just leave it alone. If you want to turn it off, just because your preview is just driving you crazy to see those numbers there, just turn the eyeballs off here. Okay. So I'm going to grab left sleeve, right click, quick export as PNG, and it's going to already save as left sleeve. We're just going to make sure that we put in the appropriate folder. So I want you to pay attention here. We have the all over art. And that's just, we can use that on printing for the all over t-shirts, right? Then we have the background, and I'm going to show you where that's going to be useful in the auto template. We have the background color 1, background color 4, the foreground for the back, the foreground for the front. I did my watermark separate because if I didn't have words on here, I would not have even done my watermark separate. I would have left it as part of the background probably, but we'll see that happen. And then of course the left sleeve is the last one. Now, although we're doing cut and sew tonight, I'm also going to show you how to go ahead and export this as a 13 by 19. So I'm going to activate this layer mask. If you're doing DTF, then what I want you to do is Alt, click and drag that DTF mask. If it asks you to replace a layer, say yes. And see how that's, it's still got that grunge look to it, but it's much harsher lines and it's much more solid. Okay, so I'm gonna show you again. I'm gonna call this my sublimation grunge mask so that we have a difference. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to update this file for everyone so that you have this updated version. Sublimation. You won't need it tonight though, but I will give you my updated version. So that's the sublimation mask. Let's watch. When I drop the sublimation mask, I'm holding down Alt, I'm dragging it down, replace the layer mask, yes. There we have it. Okay, so you will clearly see a difference between the sublimation mask. It can be a little more complicated, and I will start to include both a sublimation mask and a more DTF recommended mask because DTF is big too. I want y'all to be prepared for that. So what we're doing in this whole process is whatever our end use is, we're making sure that we're set up for that. All right, so I'm going to turn on the foreground back, and now this will be art, but when I go to quick export that as a PNG, it's going to be art dash 13 by 19, 13x19, and then I'm going to put back, and I'm going to put it in my resource folder. So if somebody wanted the all over shirt and maybe they didn't want to do or a cut and sew or all over, and then maybe they want to do some 13 by 19 versions for the kids because they didn't want to spend that much money on the kid shirts. Now you can give them an alternative that already matches. So that's the 13 by 19 back. We're going to turn off the foreground back, turn on the foreground front, right click on the art layer, and let's quick export as PNG. Go to my 23 folder. Now this one's going to be called art dash 13x19, you got it, dash front. And pretty much this is all the assets that you need to print, whether it's a partial print, a jumbo print. You can print this jumbo just like this right here, printed about, you know, maybe 16 by 26 or something like that. And it still looks substantial on the shirt without having to do an all over. Or you can do an all over on a pre-made shirt, or you can do the cut and sew. Okay, so I'm going to show you these assets again so that you're familiar with what's in this folder. All right, so here we have it. These are all of our assets. All right, so that's what we did last night. That's where we dropped off last night. And you all were able to change those out beautifully. You had some great themes, some great colorways, real exciting stuff. You know, I love to see when you all take the same thing and everybody comes out with something spectacular and something different. All right, so now what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and move this folder for just a moment. I'll go ahead and disable this layer mask. And I have to turn back on my features for the background here. Put my gray back, put my circles back. Boom, boom, put my little watermark back. All right, so this is essentially the ready to go file. Like I said, I'll update this for you all. However, it won't have a clean version of Jordan, as a matter of fact. Let me go ahead and do that now. I like to do a filter. Let's do... Let's do oil paint. And what I'm doing is I'm just doing a filter to it so that it's not the original image, and I don't get y'all used to be putting photos in that don't have, you know, some type of filter. My apologies, y'all. My sound didn't go out. I was low-key over here choking. And I had to yell at my niece to bring me some water. All right, so I am back. Like I said, I'm just doing a little filter here just so that it blurs out and doesn't give me any issues with putting this as a template. Because I like to give y'all ideas. But, you know, if you're doing this personal use, you know, especially as a sneakerhead, you're doing this personal use all day. Absolutely, you know, make your own image. But in this case, this is no longer the same image. So I feel fine about doing this. And that way, when you receive the file, it won't be. Thank you, my baby.
You still live?
Yes, I am still live. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hello.
Yeah, Emma's saying hello to you all. And I'm sure they're thanking you too, because I was up here choking. I was trying to hold it. You know, when you try to hold your cough for a long time, that little tear start welling up in your eye, letting you know it's about to get real. All right.
Hello. Hello, Erica.
And you know there's a delay here, so shoot, you know E's gonna say hey to you. All right, so let's go ahead and...
Have you told them yet?
Let's go ahead and move on. Yeah, I did actually told them yesterday that you were gonna start doing some YouTube and some content. Keisha says hello, sweetheart.
Only Daddy allows me.
Okay.
So it depends on that.
Yep, LaToya, you know Toya, she says, hi, Emma.
Hi, Toya.
All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. We had a little sweetness break. We got the photo in there. So now this is ready for y'all. I'm going to go ahead and save that. So boom, you will have that as your new file. Because I did change a couple of things there that made it a little bit easier. All right, so now we're done with this. I'm going to close out. So here is where I was telling you there's a difference. And tonight you're going to receive this mini file that is the blank version. So this is the blank. This is the Sew Pro Academy exclusive blank. These cut and sew files you will only find on Sew Pro Academy. I'm not even going to offer them on the Innate Lab site because this is somewhere where that's the resource I want you to go to for all your sewing needs. So you're going to go to Sew Pro Academy and you can get the blank version. You can get the tutorial video that goes with it. There's also going to be an auto template. So you're going to get a chance to play with the auto template tonight. We're not going to do the blank template, but I'm going to show you what you would have to do the blank template. All right. So this is the blank. It has all the sizes here. I'm going to go ahead and clear. So go to show and guides, get those guides out of the way. Let's do Control-0 so we can zoom in here. And of course, these are going to be labeled for you. This is the back, this is the front. You have your left and your right sleeve, left and right cuff. And then you also have the waistband and the neckband there. So that's what you'll receive. And like I said, the fact that this has already been handmade for you in Photoshop is a big deal. I don't know if any of you have purchased any other classes or any other templates for cut and sew, but I've personally purchased templates for cut and sew, and they've been $50. Some I've even purchased for more than that, and it's just either a PDF or an Illustrator file, which is great if you're someone that already has that experience and you know how to pull them into Photoshop. It's not that it's hard, but it's tedious. So for people who even know how to do that, this system is going to change your life because you won't have to do that. The whole idea here is that it's already plug and play. So it's already in Photoshop and we'll be able to plug and play. All right. I have to let Emma know that Coach Deshanta, Coach Chrissy, and Coach Q said hey to Emma. So she's back downstairs now. All right, let's go ahead and do the drag and drop thing. All right, so because you have your assets here, and you don't have to have Innate Lab templates to do this. So some people that just really loathe Innate Lab, which is, there's a couple out there, not too many in the universe, and you just don't like the templates, then you can drag and drop whatever image you want in here. I'm just going to show you how to do these. All right, so this is the blank template, like the head, here it go. So we're going to take the background image, we're going to drag and drop it. It's going to be huge. You know what I'm going to do? Let me turn on the setting here. And most of you have this on by default. I'm going to go into my preferences in general and tell it to, because this is a miniature version, so I don't want to make this any larger than I have to. So we're going to resize the image during place. I turn that off when I'm making sewing patterns because I don't play about my sizes of stuff. And if you modify these things just a little bit, you'll know when you get ready to sew. All right, so now that I've changed that setting, which, like I said, most of you have that on by default. I turned it off when I was working on patterns. So drag and drop. The biggest it'll be is the artboard size. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and drag in all of my elements. That's what I like to do. So all the ones that I know I'm going to use for this purpose. I'm going to use the background, red color or color 1. I'm going to use the background color 4. I'm going to use left sleeve and right sleeve. And then, I thought I was going to move that over. I was confused. So I need the foreground front, foreground back. We already brought in the background. I'm going to bring in these other background colors. I'm just holding down the control key right now for those that don't know how you can multi-select. And then I'm going to bring that watermark in. So I don't need this art all over. I'm not going to use it. I would rather place my artwork, my foreground artwork in there. All right, and this is if you were doing 13 by 19s, which is not what we're doing right now. So this is all that you need to drag over. And you'll see why we're not going to do this tonight. This is quite a lot of work. So you really need to be at least an intermediate Photoshop user, or have some familiarity with Photoshop so that you can do like your basic clip and mask and that sort of thing. So I'm just hitting enter to lock in the transformation for all of these things that are pulling in right now. Here we go. Now with the blank template, I have to decide where I want these things to go. I'm going to focus right now on just the background. So I'm going to take all of these things and just group them, turn the eyeball off so they're not in my face right now. There's your background. I'm going to resize it. And what I like to do is I like to design for the biggest. So there's the 4X there. So we have a 4X and a large. I'm going to get rid of the small. So we just have two different sizes here. I don't want to confuse y'all, but you do see that patterns are going to have different sizes there. And this one will go from an adult small all the way to an adult 4X when you purchase this from Sew Pro Academy. All right, so we'll take that background now and we have to right click. Well, first let's drag it right above our selected size. Right click, and we're going to create a clipping mask. Okay, now this is where it gets a little complicated because I want it to be big enough here. And I also, you see how it snapped into the center there? That's perfect. But you'll see what may happen is we may get some overlapping of the images, and then I have to create clipping masks. So this is my background. I'm going to duplicate it, and it'll still be called background. And then I'm going to take this and do Control T, which is a transform. I'm going to rotate this 180 degrees. Like I said, or no, I'm not. I lied. I'm going to flip this vertical. Boom. So what it did was it created the upside down version of it. And you see, I can tell that Photoshop is lining up my stuff there because I'm getting that little pink line there. And like I said, the automated version of this is basically taking all of this work out for you. But I need you to see what the work is so that you understand the difference. If you need to buy the less expensive package because either you don't need the automation process or you want to do this, this is the process you have to do. Okay, so we got that in there. We're going to hit enter to lock in that transformation. Let me take a little sip of my water over here that my most wonderful niece gifted me with. All right, so that's the top and bottom. And then what I would do is I would rename this. But that's just me. So I'll rename this the background back, even though it's a smart object, so they're going to change together. So when you buy the automated version, you're basically saving yourself time on all of this. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is drag in, or no, I already dragged it in. I just have to move it. So let's say that one sleeve is going to be gray, one sleeve is going to be red. I'm just going to drag this now underneath the background. And what will happen is it automatically clips here. And I'm going to resize this. And really, maybe I should have resized this at the same time so this would all be consistent, but hey. Here we go. So now that's going to recolor the sleeve down here. I'll do the same thing. Let's see, before I resize it, I'm going to resize both the red and the gray at the same time. Control T. Boom, boom. And then it needs to be big enough to, I like to go ahead and color the cuff too with it. There we go. One sleeve's going to be red, one sleeve's going to be black. All right, so that is done. And then I also need to use this color again to color the waistband and maybe even the neckline. So I'll take this one and I'll duplicate it. Let me just hold down Alt, click, and drag. That way, when I did Alt, click, and drag, it maintained my clipping mask. So it didn't just bust out and then I have to reclip everything. So I'm ensuring that I cover up that whole thing there. It's clipped down hit enter. And because I only want to color the neckline and the waist here, I actually have to create a clipping mask. So I'm going to do this up top, hold down shift, do this down here at the bottom. And if I hit shift, that means I'm adding to my selection. So I have selection 1, selection 2, and then I'm just going to hit the layer mask. Do you see now that this is only covering those 2 elements there? So this is essentially what you would be doing by hand, but of course, you know, I'm not going to let you have to do that with the automated process. So, oh, we have a little bit, just a little bit more work to do. Let's take our foreground, front, and back, and let's drag that into our clipping here. And we really want it to be on top of everything. Let's do Control T, and that looks pretty cool, right? Control T, we're going to bring this down. And I am kind of just strategically placing this so that it's the center here. And the reason why I resize the front and back at the same time just saved me a little time. So the back, the foreground back, I'm going to use my move tool and move it. And then I'm going to rotate it, Control T. I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees. There we go. Boom, that's it. If I want to put my sleeves on, that's my next step. Oh, I forgot about my watermark. Let me add my watermark. So I'm going to drag the watermark into the clipping mask here. Oh, that looks really cool too. So you understand you can have some fun with this. And honestly, I really like this even bigger. That is super cool, super cool. All right, yeah, it's about my bedtime too. Well, no, I took a nap, I stayed up all night, then took a nap, and then my body's just confused right now. So I don't know if I'm goofy because I'm tired or what. If I wanted to match this up and have it on the back too, well, maybe you just want to have it on the front. If you wanted to have it on the back too, that's your prerogative. I'm gonna alt click and drag a copy of this. You see how it got darker too when I doubled up over this? I'm gonna pull it up here. And of course, these images have to be above the background to see them. And I'm going to do Control T, turn that 180 degrees. And y'all, the only reason why I turn this 180 degrees is so that I can myself see how something is going to continue from the left to the right side. If I just stack these on top, I wouldn't really understand that. So what's going to happen, the reason why I have a red sleeve and a gray sleeve is because I could choose to do my red sleeve on this side and it would continue the red to red. It would look like it flows. Then I would have a gray sleeve and it would continue the gray from here and it would flow. Speaking of which, if I wanted that to flow, I would have to make sure my image did not go up into the sleeve area. Otherwise, it wouldn't look continuous. Okay. All right, so I'll do the same thing here. Let's hit enter, lock in that transformation. And I don't mind if that little red gets in there because my sleeve would be red. My sleeve would be gray there. Now, you can actually do the opposite. If you know you have red here, you can put the gray sleeve there and it'll look kind of like a bomber jacket does, where it has the contrast sleeves. It's your world. You can do whatever you want to do. You can even take that same watermark and maybe you want it on the sleeve too. I don't know. You just have that option, okay? Like I said, it's your world. So maybe you don't put it on there and you put it on the sleeve. It would just be unique either way, right? So I'm going to delete that because that's not what we're doing. Oh, we need to put our numbers on, right? So let's grab the 2 numbers. Same process. Let's drag and drop them down into our clipping area. And of course we want to make these smaller. And if you're doing sports stuff, there are specific sizes that numbers have to be. So if they tell you, hey, the maximum your number can be on a jersey is 3 inches tall on the sleeve, then you make them 3 inches tall. All right, and in this case, I'm going to go ahead and just lock in that transformation. Well, let me rotate it first since I have it in this mode. I'm going to hold down shift so it locks it right at 90. Boom, that's 1. And then my left sleeve, I'm going to pull it up here and rotate that one. Instead of 90, I'm going to do what? Negative 90. There we go. Now keep in mind, this is what you have to do if you get the blank template. So when y'all are deciding on whether to get the blank and the automated template, please keep in mind that a lot of this work has been done for you on the automated template. And you're just going to have to figure out the work that's required if you do the blank template, okay? All right, now you would also have to kind of measure this out and see, okay, well, my number should be 3 inches down from the hemline or from the cut line here. But that is, it's going to be, you know, your preference, wherever you want it to be. Okay, so now this will be ready for you to turn into a PNG. So we would just do File, Save As. You would save as, and as a matter of fact, new Photoshop users, you're going to do Save a Copy. And then you're going to save it as a PNG. Hit OK. All right, now that was if you have the blank template for the cut and sew, and you can drag any and everything that you want onto this and do this exact process. So you could pull wallpapers or you could have designs that you have from anywhere and do this process. You just have to basically troubleshoot when something doesn't line up, or if it's in the wrong place, or if it's too low, too high. That will be something you troubleshoot. Now I'm going to show you the version that you're going to get in class night, which is the automated version. It's still a mini version, but it's the mini automated. But you know what? That's not it. That's not all, folks. I sound like an infomercial, because now you have to get this print ready. This is not print ready. Let me show you what you have to do to get it print ready. You have to close out of this template, hit yes. All right, and no, this is not a free template by any means. This is actually not even my template to sell. This is Coach Q's template, or Karita. So most folks just go by Q, and she has a Sew Pro Academy, and I am in full support of the Sew Pro Academy. She's been in full support of Innate Academy, and we're just collaborating on this effort to bring people cut and sew projects that also have design implemented in them. So she's going to teach the sewing side. I'm going to teach the Photoshop side. All right, so remember we just did that PNG. So now we need to open that PNG. As a matter of fact, you're gonna have to open the PNG plus. So this is what you I'm not trying to make this seem like it's hard, because it's really not hard. It's just it's a little tedious, okay? So let's go and find the version we just did, this one. I'm actually going to put this in my 23 folder so I know where it is. All right, so what you would do is you would create your own your own new file. So I'm going to go File, New, and I think my dimensions, because this is a miniature file, is 10 by 26. My resolution should be 150, because we only do 150 because that's really all that's required to do fabric and sublimation. Your files are going to be huge if you do everything at 300. And this is another reason why these images and these files are pre-converted for you, because we take into account also the dots per inch, the file size, and all that good stuff. So there we go. And now I'm going to also open up this nifty little PNG, right? And I'm gonna have to cut each of these pieces out and place them onto my artboard. So if this was my large format printer and this was a 36-inch printer, this will be somewhere like 36 by 100. All right, so let's take, doop. We're just gonna loosely cut around here. That's why we give space in between this stuff too. Take that. You see those active pixels? We're going to choose our move tool. We're going to pick it up and drag it, drop it on the artboard. And remember, this is the 4X version. So this is the other thing the automated version does. The automated version is going to have each size already ready to pull in the artwork, okay? So this is the non-automated version. You're going to have to basically fit each piece on the printable board. And I'm going to kind of rush through this a little bit more because I want to get to the automated version like sometime tonight. I'm sure you do too. See, I went down a little too low, so I grabbed a little piece of that one. So I'm going to have to hit escape. Let me stop talking, I guess, and concentrate. I'm trying to get right in between here without chopping off anything. We'll get my move tool, drag and drop it. And then when you do it like this, you have to make sure that your DPI is the same on this file that it is in this file. All right, so then I have to grab each of these pieces. I'm not going to do all this because quite literally I've done enough of this. But that's why I'm telling you that this is going to be helpful for you, because the process that I'm about to show you next does all of this for you. All right, and then you would have to figure out, okay, well, I can get a sleeve here. I can put another sleeve down here, dot, 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 etc., etc. That's not what we're going to do tonight. So this would basically be you manually doing the process. But once this is all set up, then you could go file print, because you could actually print this on your large format printer. Or in this case, we're doing a miniature version. So you could even print this, you know, as roll media if you wanted to, or print these individual images on your 8.5 by 11 inch printer even. All right, so let's close out of this because that is not what we're going to do tonight. I just want to show you the process. I'm not even going to save that. I'm not going to save any changes there. Let me show you this automatic process. And let me see, I have to check the whole file name. Y'all know I have some long file names. So that was the blank one. And this is the Innate Academy and SoPro Academy combination one. All right, so this one, unfortunately, I have to delete all my junk off of this because that's not how you're going to receive it. Like I said, if you were getting it blank, boom, that's what it would look like. Okay, that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Then we'll come over here. So these, again, are the miniature versions. You're not going to get the full version. This is literally probably going to be big enough to maybe fit a doll, if that. Maybe one of those 18-inch dolls, maybe a Barbie doll. I don't even know. I just made sure it was really small because I don't have the right to give this away with the agreement that we have. So I'm making sure that I respect those boundaries as well. All right, so this is already set up for you. All the steps that we just did, this is the file that you're going to receive tonight. This is what we're going to work on tonight. And let me show you what you're going to do. Let's go ahead, and I like to have my folder already pulled up in my face, ready to go. And what we'll end up doing is we'll end up doing just replacing some images. So I can close out of this one. Well, I'll leave it open just so you can see the difference and how quick this goes now. All right, so let's get it. All I have to do is update these smart objects, and this is not even the full extent of the automated version. This is just a little piece of it. So let's go ahead, let's change out this right sleeve number. I go grab my right sleeve, boom, drop it like it's hot, delete the layer underneath. And we did all this last night too. Delete the layer underneath, yes. So now this is what we didn't get a chance to do. We didn't get a chance to update all of this stuff on the cut and sew pattern. So this is what we're going to do tonight. All right, I have the left sleeve, double click on that. Find my left sleeve, boom, there it is. All right, delete the layer underneath. Yes to update. All right, we see that red coming through. Let's go ahead and let's change out the background. Now I have a background back and a background front. However, they are one and the same. So I'll double click on my background front. And let's find the background here. And watch how it also updates the background in the back. So because it's a PNG, I definitely have to make sure I delete the layer underneath. Say yes to update the changes. Let's see, magic happen. And this is what I mean by automated. And I would call this semi-automated because it does require some input from you. But as you can see, this goes a lot easier than having to manually drag, drop, place, resize, flip, all of that good stuff. Oh, Monica, you did the So Pro Academy stockings class. Yeah, Coach Q really did something for y'all because, you know, she don't do nothing like for free as far as teaching. But she was really compelled to show you all what you could do with the Innate Lab templates and also just with cut and sew in general. So she did a free class. I don't think it's free anymore. I think there's a price to it now, but it was limited time free for the folks in the academy. And she did an amazing job showing you all how to make your own Christmas stockings. Okay. And this is basically a partnership that we look forward to fostering. This is going to be some cool stuff that we get into. And Coach Q is on the cutting edge of whatever it is that's trendy out there. So she's going to have some cool patterns and projects for us in this near future. And I'm just going to have fun showing you all how to basically take any Innate Lab design template and work with her sewing templates. All right, so let's go ahead and let's change out the background color 1. And see, I have a layer mask on this already, so it doesn't do all that overlapping and crazy stuff. So that's been thought out as well. So let's go ahead and replace color 1 with color 1. And that's why I said it's very important to name it what I told y'all to name it. Some of y'all don't like to follow my rules and like to name stuff whatever you want. And then you're trying to figure out, well, what is the equivalent to this one? Not, you just name it what I tell you to name it, and I promise you won't have any questions. And I do want to also let you know, if you plan on getting into cut and sew, you may have to upgrade your computer. These graphics end up being very large, very complex a lot of times, and you want to make sure that your computer and your Photoshop is available to do what you need it to do and not frustrating you. So if you notice that you have problems, even with this mini template, that should be an indication that you have to upgrade your computer. I know we want to work with what we got, and a lot of times you can, but if you really want to be able to do cut and sew, that is part of the investment. Make sure your computers can run these files. Okay. Let's go ahead now and bring in, what is that, color 4. See, background dash color 4 is up here. I'm just going to match that. If I can find it, there it is. Drag and drop. Let's go ahead and delete the layer underneath. Close this out, say yes to update. And this was a question folks had last night as well. If you have other cut and sew patterns, more than likely it's not optimized for Photoshop. So we can't support something that we didn't optimize and clean up and create, because believe it or not, a lot of work goes into pulling these together to make sure that they work the way that they're supposed to work. So if you have an idea for, for a template that you would like to see done, like let's say you want to do leggings, or you want to do a hoodie instead of a crew neck, there will be other courses that come out and other patterns that come out, and you all will be the part of the driving force for that, because basically what you ask for enough, that's what, we'll work on in order of who needs what first. So if that's something that you need converted, then we'll have to make sure that we can pull and make a custom template and make that something that will do the automated process. It won't be something that just automatically happens. So. All right, and did I cover everything? Oh, nope, I need to change out a couple things. Let's change out the foreground here. foreground for the front. Hit enter, delete the other one. Now this is what we're doing in class tonight. So see how quick this is going to go? So we should not even be an hour in class tonight. Literally, this is just the second part or extension of what we were originally taking the artwork and just applying it. All right, so let's go ahead and do the back now. I think it's somewhere over here. Foreground back, drag and drop. Hit enter, delete. Okay, so now this is, I can scroll down here, see if I need to change anything. But everything looks good. And see how it basically is us creating this to where it replaces all the information, but there's something else cool that goes with it. This is part of that automated process. So now I can take all of these elements, and I have to kind of do a two-step process. And I'm working on a way not to do that two-step process. But for tonight, we're going to just do the two-step. And then if I can change it to a one-step later or even a zero-step later, then we will update that in the So Pro Academy. All right, so I'm going to make sure I have everything turned on. All my eyeballs are on. Everything looks good, And I didn't even have to figure out where to put this stuff. That's the beauty of the automated template. All right, so we'll go File. I'm going to go Export. We're going to do Artboard to Files. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and place this in my 23 folder. And I'm going to make a folder called TIFF, because we're going to make this TIFF first. And then what I'm going to do for this prefix is I'm just going to put a L, because this is the size large. Okay, and you would do this for every size. So you would have one for large, you would have one for 4X, you would have one for every single size that you needed to produce. Now you don't need to produce all sizes if you only have an order for a large and a 4X. So I would do large dash, or I would do 4X dash if I had the 4X done. And I'll show you that too, because you'll see how basically you creating a different folder. So we'll have a folder for the TIFF, and then we'll have a folder for PNG once we convert it over. So this is L dash. This lets me know that these are all going to be the large versions of this cut and sew. Okay. So I'm going to make sure include overlapping areas is on. We're going to export selected artboards. I'm actually going to turn that off because I want to export all of the artboards. And then for the file, we're going to do a TIFF. Export options. Image compression is none. We wanted to just go ahead and export it as is. And you can include the ICC profile if you want to. You don't have to include the artboard name because it's going to automatically do that for you. Let's hit run. Now this might take a little bit of time because I haven't done this while I'm live streaming. Running this can definitely take some time here. And some resources. So like I said, when you're running this, and imagine this is a mini file. This mini file is significantly smaller because you can even print this on your printers at home. Your 13 by 19, and even if you had an 8.5 inch wide printer, you could actually print these little pattern pieces. All right, we're just letting it work, letting it do its thing. And sometimes this is a little relaxing and satisfying to watch, just letting something else do the work while you kick back and take a sip of water so you're not coughing all over your YouTube folks. All right. And when it's done, it will make a glorious noise. Usually when Photoshop makes a noise, it's aggravating AF, right? But in this case, when it's done doing this process, it'll make a noise and it will be music to your ears because it lets us know that this part of the process is complete. Now, what this is doing right now, just to let you know, you remember how before, once we designed our pattern pieces, we had to go in with the lasso tool, the polygon lasso tool, and kind of cut around each image, copy it, and paste it onto an artboard. What this is doing is it's automatically separating, and see that glorious noise there? It says artboard to files was successful. That's what we want to see in here. And it should be in our TIFF folder. Now, it exported these as TIFFs. What I'm going to do to make sure that they are smaller, and y'all don't play with these TIFFs. These TIFFs are huge. So that's my TIFF folder, right? I'm going to take, and my computer should have the computing power to do this. Yours may not. So keep this in mind. I'm going to shift, and I'm going to open all of these at one time. And how I'm going to do that is instead of dragging it on my artboard, I'm going to drag it to the tabs up here. If I drag it to the tabs, then it will automatically open up in Photoshop. And let's see, I might have stressed my computer out a little bit because I'm doing this live stream, but let's see. Oh, you know what? This is how we'll do it. We'll just go to File, Open. That way, because sometimes your drag and drop is not going to work if you're using up all your resources. Photoshop shortcuts stop working. So let's go to the 23 folder. I'm going to go to my TIFF folder. I'm not going to open up this big one because I don't need it. But essentially, this one has all the pieces on it. It's just, that's not an optimal way that you want to print. And this is going to be basically not any file size that you'll be able to just straight up print. All right, but I'm going to take, and I hit the first one, hold down Shift, select the last one, and it selected all these in between. And I'm just going to open those. So I did File, Open from Photoshop, and I'm just going to open all of those. And yes, these are some additional steps, but this is still pretty, this is why I call it semi-automated, because you're going to have to do some work, but for the most part, it's thinking for you, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to File, save a copy, okay? And I don't mind if it puts it in my TIFF folder for right now. This is fine because it's going to have the word copy there, but I have to make sure the file type is PNG, okay? And what I want to do is I want to show you the difference in those file sizes. So if you think you're just going to straight up be moving around and playing with a bunch of TIFFs, you're going to be in for a rude awakening because it will definitely take longer to do what you need to do on Photoshop. All right, so now that it's done a PNG version of it, I can close it. And it doesn't even ask me to save because I haven't done anything to it. File, save a copy, because I'm not messing with my original file. I still have my TIFF, but now I'm going to make a PNG of it. Let's hit OK. Close it out. File, save a copy. Like I said, when you have a system, it becomes like second nature to you. Save, close it out. And see how little time it's taken to make a quick little PNG out of this? All right, so let's do save a copy. PNG, save. Go ahead and hit OK. Close out of this. File, save a copy. PNG. And we have to do this for 8 pieces total. And I like that it puts the word copy at the end because it lets me know that there's a difference between the original big file and this individual smaller file here. All right. We're done with that one. File, save a copy. PNG, save. Okay. Close out of that one. Now we just have the front and back, right? Not too bad. So we're going to do file, save a copy. PNG is our file type. Save. And like I said, it's just a process. We don't have to worry about whether we size something correctly, whether we move something over, whether we nudge something and it did something crazy. So this makes it more of a peaceful and semi-automated process. So save a copy. PNG. How quick it saves as a PNG, that just should really tell you something. Now, I don't need this open anymore. I'm going to actually close this out. I have all my pieces. I did well with this file. I can go ahead and hit yes to save here. But in this case, I'm going to save this as... No, I'll give y'all this one because this will match. So we'll save it. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Did I forget in this one to pull in my PNG? I did. Well, I already exported these things, but I'm going to go ahead and pull in the PNG for you. Remember I had this little watermark? I'm going to pull my watermark PNG in here. Because it wasn't originally part, this is what you're going to have to do if your background image has something like I was stating with words. So this is me just showing you. Otherwise, you would not have had to do this. You would not have had to place a watermark image because it would have already been embedded in your background. So I don't want y'all to worry about that tonight, even if it is something that appears backwards. Like the one I had before, it had backwards words in it, the Sagittarius one. So I'm trying to place this so that it looks like it's kind of matching up on this side. So it looks like it maybe wraps around, or if you want to contrast it, then you put it on this side because you don't want it to look like it wraps around. Okay. So that's your prerogative. Like I said, when you're doing that watermark thing, I'm going to go ahead and clip this down because I don't want it hanging outside of my pattern. And you can clip the foreground and background down too. Just make sure you keep it at the very top. All right. So now this is the file y'all will be receiving. Let me save. So I have the watermark on there for y'all. All right, so we're getting close out of that now. And like I said, remember this was the blank version and that was the automated version, but that's not it for the automated version. That's not all, folks. The automated version will also include, and let me pull that up. So this is our auto print, cut, and sew. What this is how this will be in the Sew Pro Academy is this will also be a resource for you to basically just automatically pull in your images once again. But this will be sized for whatever size paper you're printing. So if you're printing 36-inch paper, it will be sized for you. If you're printing 44-inch paper, it will be pre-arranged and sized for you. So basically, let's say you only have 36-inch paper because you have a 36-inch printer. When I get to doing the 4X layout is going to look completely different than this large layout here. So all of those sizes will be done for you. So all I have to do is open up the, it'll say auto print, cut, and sew. It won't say mini, it'll say large. So then that way, keep in mind, the folder that we created, remember when we named it large? So let's come on in here. And then I like to separate my TIFF from my PNGs. Like after I get it together, I'll go into my TIFFs, I right click, sort by type, Okay, and I'm going to grab all my copies. Well, before I do that, let me make a folder. Instead of a TIFF folder, new folder, I'm going to call this one PNG. All right, so we have that PNG folder. Now I'm going to go into my TIFF folder. Now I know the ones that say copy at the end are my PNGs, right? Those are all my PNGs. I should have 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to Control X to cut those, and then I'm going to open my PNG folder and paste them. So now my PNGs are here. If I want to see them, I'm going to right click View, Large Icons. Boom, there they are. Okay, so now I have the appropriate resource that's not going to be huge. Let me show you the difference. Let's right now, for instance, let's take the left front copy, or not the left, I'm sorry, that means large. This is our size large. So that large front image in a TIFF, large front, if we just hover over it, we can see that is 77 megabytes. 77 megabytes versus 1.69 megabytes. Okay, so that is significantly, like maybe even 50 times smaller. So you don't want to be playing with the PNGs, but you don't want to be playing with the TIFFs. You need the PNGs, but the PNGs just export in a funny way. So this is why we had to do that extra step. And then everything should be to scale and to size for us. All right, now what we have to do is already in place for us. We're just going to double click on each of these images and replace the files like we've been doing. Same old thing. All right, so this one, looking at the top, large right sleeve, a left right sleeve, really, Shannon? Large left sleeve, I'm looking for the large right sleeve. There's a large right sleeve. Boom. Drag and drop, done. Delete the one underneath. Yes to update. And watch it update on our printable. So when I say that a lot of work and thought has gone into this process for you, this is a big deal. This is a really big deal. I have not ever seen anything like that in this sublimation market, in this cut and sew market, in this Photoshop market. So this is a real deal game changer. All right, this one is the left sleeve. And see, I will know if it dragged and dropped it in an inappropriate size. You'll know because it won't exactly replace the previous one. I'm going to delete the previous one. Yes. And like I said, this is all we're going to be doing in class tonight. Albeit late, but you know, I know y'all will stay up with me to learn this. This is, like I said, a game changer. Okay, let's go ahead and let's stay in order. Y'all know I can be the one that does not do well multitasking. So right cuff, I'm looking for right cuff, drag and drop, delete, let's update. Neckband, I'm double clicking on the smart object and make sure we put the right band on there because there's a neckband and a waistband. And let me make that a little bit smaller. And what am I looking for? Neckband. There we are, neckband. Replaces perfectly. Yes to update. All right, let's go with the left sleeve now. Oh, we already did the left sleeve because I went out of order. Left cuff. And this is why I like having my folder, my Explorer folder open on the same screen because I can literally just drag and drop this. We could also do file place. If your drag and drop doesn't work, which some of you will have that issue, you can do file place and it would do the same thing. Let me show you. So if I did file, place, embedded is what I want. I go to my 23 PNG folder and then I just have to make sure I know which one I'm on. I'm on the left cuff. So I'll look for left cuff, boom, place, and it does the exact same thing as dragging and dropping, okay? So if your drag and drop doesn't work, because sometimes your drag and drop won't work because your computer is not happy with Photoshop. It's one of those things when you start seeing features like that not work, it may be an issue with either your RAM, your hard drive space, or your graphics card, okay? So I like doing this whole drag and drop thing. That's my thing. I'm going to stick with it. Drag and drop, delete the layer underneath, and update it. Same thing for the back. Delete the layer underneath. Boom, boom. And then waistband is the final. Make sure I pick the one that says waistband, not neckband. I know we'll probably have that slip up in class tonight, but I'm just letting you know that there is a difference. Let's hit yes to update. Now, if this were my regular size board and I had a 36-inch printer, then I would be ready to save this as a PNG or just go ahead and print this, because this is essentially, it does have a lot of data. And let me show you the difference between this as is, printing it, and then saving it as a PNG. So I can save as, or let's save a copy, because we have to do save a copy to get to the PNG mode anyway. Save a copy, PNG. Now this one's going to have the word copy after it. I'm going to hit save. So the automated version not only auto updates the elements in the pattern making process, but it also automates your print settings. So if you were doing a 36-inch paper, 36-inch paper, we're going to have that set up for you where you just click on the size and replace those images. If you're doing a 44-inch printer, that will be available for you. Now, if you're doing a 13 by 19 printer, that's a whole nother problem, a whole nother split template solution that I have not developed yet, and it will definitely take some time. So I'm making sure that we have the wide format version, because most people that are doing cut and sew are doing wide format. And then what you can do is, in the meantime, if you need this printed, then you can go to Q and say, hey, can you print this for me? Like, I designed it, I put it in place. We have special pricing with we have an agreement with the partners that can print Innate Lab templates. So don't be afraid to question them about printing, because they will be able to print for you. Q can also not only print it for you, she can also press it on your fabric. If you would like for it to be pre-pressed on your fabric, because if you don't have a large format press, you can either use your 16 by 20 press. I would recommend you do the buddy system, and we'll show you that too. We're going to do some demos of this stuff coming up. So we'll show you how you can not have the large format press yet, have the large format prints, and use your buddy system to help you press these individual pieces, no matter how long they might be, no matter how big they might be. And you will be able to do it with a 16 by 20 printer, and you'll be able to do it efficiently and effectively. So that's all a part of what we're showing you too. That's going to be a part of what we demonstrate within the Academy as well. So we're not just going to drop you off and say, hey, here's a file, do something with it. We are going to show you real world applications of this stuff and how you can really make money and really set yourself apart from the people who might just be doing sublimation on finished garments. Now, the world is your oyster. You can literally create anything that's in your mind if you can cut and sew. So now the only thing is, oh, what can I cut and sew next? So I want you all to be aware that this is definitely the next direction of sublimation. All right, so we have this done. All I'm going to do is show you the difference. Let's see, where's my PNG version? So they look, oh, I'll open the wrong one. My bad, y'all. This one. So the auto print cut. Okay, so the auto print cut and sew, this is ready to print. You see how now it's one piece, it's transparent, it's ready to print. That's the difference between the auto version and the non-auto version, the blank version, okay? So I want you all to see that a lot of energy and effort has been put into making this as easy as it can possibly be for you. So you can focus on the sewing, you can focus on getting your clients, you can focus on showing them quick mock-up changes. That's a big deal too. So I'm giving you all my mock-up file, and if you haven't seen that, I'm giving you all my mock-up file, which I demonstrated already yesterday, but I'll show you. Well, you have plenty of videos of me showing you how to do the mock-ups, but I'll do a separate video showing you how to mock this up, because this is what I was talking about. If you want it to look continuous from the body to the sleeve, then you put the red sleeve here. If you want it to look like kind of like a bomber jacket and have that contrast, then I would have put the gray sleeve here and put the red sleeve here and let it contrast. So when I tell y'all that we are on next level, like in our mind, we're already in 2025. We're just doing whatever we can do to make this process seamless, simple for you. You can hit the ground running, and then that way you're in 2025 with us, and anybody else, you know, trying to play catch up or trying to copy is not going to be on the level that you're going to be, because you've invested in the tools, and we've invested our time and energy into something that literally is plug and play for you. So Helena, that's a great question. The 24-inch printers, there are so many pieces that will not print on a 24-inch printer. You will have to tile them. So what you could do is you could do the 36-inch print or the 44. I would say the 44-inch print, and then you could basically not necessarily tile that, but I'll do a split template for the 24. How about that? The 24-inch one will be easy to do a split template. But that will, no, I can't. Yeah, that's gonna, because I forgot it's not gonna just split everything in half. So I will have to work on split templates for those of you with smaller than 36-inch printers. But I will start with the 24-inch printer because it should be easiest to tackle. Then I'll go down to the 13-inch printer, and I will not do this for the 8.5-inch printers just because it's gonna be, it'll be a mess. I will do something for the 8.5-inch printer people though. I'll create standard sizes that can split for you, okay? All right. So let me close out the mock-up. Like I said, this will be print ready to go. I just want to show you the difference between when you print. Where are my little files here? And let me go ahead and save this one. Here we go. That way we can compare them side by side. So this Photoshop file that we just did is still saving. It is 27 megabytes. And like I said, this is a miniature file. So imagine how big that would be if this was full scale. That is, like I said, 27. So let's go ahead and round it up to 28 megabytes. It's 27.5 versus the PNG version of the printable version, which is 5 megabytes. So you see how not having that extra data does make this file smaller. This will be easier to print. If you go send a huge files to your printer, you're probably going to regret it. Okay, so I would only print my PNGs. So I might even go to the front of this and just call this print, P-R-I-N-T. And then the size is large. So now I have my print for my large, I'll have another print for my small, I have another print for my 4X, I'll have another print for my 3X. Do you understand how that goes? Now, imagine if you had to do all that manually. Just saying. All right. And yeah, this is a perfect opportunity. Ruth, you bring up a great point. Ruth says the sewing part is easy. Sublimation looks like a different language. And that's how people feel that do sublimation. we're used to using certain substrates that are already ready to go, right? And all we have to do is print, press, and go. Design, print, press, and go. But when you're talking about sewing, that's a foreign language to most of us who are in sublimation. To be in the middle of that, imagine how many people have both of those qualities, sewing and sublimation. And digital art, because remember, you're an artist too, because you're taking these templates and you're making them, you're flipping them and making them whatever you need them to be. So you're a digital artist, you're a sublimator, and you are what do we call it? You could call yourself a fashion designer at that point in time, can't you? Absolutely. I know fashion designers that never made their own patterns up and never made their own prints up, and they call that fashion design. So now you can update that on your resume because you have all three of those. And we're trying to make it so easy to go from 1 to 2 to 3. Okay? Like I said, you're going to stand out amongst all of your competition. And especially this being something that you can really put online as well. This is a big deal. This is global. This is not just local. But locally, you can definitely do the darn thing. Okay? All right. So... oh, shoot, I just realized what time it is. We're just hanging out and stuff, and I'm just talking. So I'm going to go ahead and close out my files here. The only people that will have access to this are the ones who completed the work from last night, but anyone else who is going to automatically unlock this class, or that you are purchasing the class, you will have access to the class recording. It's just that tonight we can't have anybody that already didn't do the work from last night, okay? So if you are accessing the class tonight, you have to have these things already exported, and you know who you are because you know we did this last night. We have the background, we have the background colors, we have the foreground. So if you don't have that, please do not try to join class tonight. It actually will be a disruption, and it will be better and easier for you to just watch the recording. All right, so Coach Q, you hearing that? We got a request for a circle skirt. I actually really like those skirts as well. I think they're trending back in, and they're going to be a lot of things. So make sure that that we give Q some great suggestions for what we want to see next. All right. So let me close this up. I'm going to go ahead and upload this tonight. As soon as I have it uploaded, y'all, it's going to be late. If you don't want to come to the live version of this, it's completely fine. I will make sure that you have this information and that you have this mini template, the mini cut and sew template that you can play with. I understand it's late. But like I said, this was a lot of work. I didn't even know how much work it was until we really got really detailed into saving you time. So the extra time that it took was really to save you hundreds and maybe even thousands of hours work. All right, so Q says she's gonna put that on the list. Yes, circle skirt. Awesome. Maybe we can even create a list or a request list, and y'all could just drop photos of images of different types of patterns that you might want to see. Some of them may have to be custom made, and that takes some time, definitely. But circle skirt should be pretty easy to do. Some of y'all will want to do some crazy stuff. Like I was looking at some asymmetrical hem, this, that, and the other. And I'm going to have to put in my special request with Coach Q. And with those special requests, there might be an additional fee. Like if you want to see that developed as a template, it takes a lot of energy. And you may be the only person that wants that. So there may be, and there probably will be, an additional fee if you need a pattern like that rushed ahead of time. All right. Well, thank you, Ruth. Ruth says your teachings are amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. You are absolutely welcome. This is my calling. Don't know if y'all know this, but, you know, I was meant to be a teacher. I was built to be a teacher, you know, as people have told me in other languages before. And I've been doing it my entire life. I even got a PhD in engineering because I thought I was going to be somebody's engineering professor and help people invent things and help the students kind of see that side of things. But I ended up in this lane, and I'm loving it because I love what I do. I can stay up all night and day. I have to make myself go to sleep. That's a great problem to have. Oh, gotcha, Ladosha. Okay, love. I see your name on there. So, yeah, definitely be making those requests. All right, so we're going to get off this live so that I can have a few of y'all in class is not passed out and sleep. It should not take us but maybe 30 minutes to get through part 2, okay? And that's if everybody has their stuff from yesterday already saved and that we work through this smoothly. So let me get this uploaded, and I will put the time on the Zoom, okay? Awesome. All right, love. So we're ready to see y'all sewing it and making some magic happen, okay? I'm definitely ready to see us take over this cut and sew market. All right, so we've come to an end. I appreciate y'all. I love you dearly. And until next time, I wish I had my niece up here to say it with me. Bye.